Yeah, ladies. Yeah, ladies. I remember the first time I ever tasted Lindor chocolate. I remember where I was. It was somebody handing it out as a sample. They were just coming into South Africa. I remember the taste. I remember anything about it. Has anybody here never tasted Lindor chocolate before? Have you never tasted it? If you have never tasted Lindor chocolates, please will you run and get one right now? Come. Seriously, I would love you to. Come. Okay, let's see. My left hand. She's gonna throw for me because she knows how bad I am. Lydia, 2 hands for you, my girl. Anybody else? Never tasted Lindor chocolate? You see, once you have a taste for Lindor, you don't forget. But the enemy, what he does is along the path to Lindor chocolate, he scatters white cooking chocolate on the path so that you stick with it before you ever get there. We all have this longing for life to be good again. Have you felt it? This longing where you just think, it just must come right now. Like everything must come right. We get tired of life that is not perfect. Have you ever just looked in the mirror and thought, maybe a new haircut, or opened your wardrobe and thought, you know what, if I could just get a new outfit, or you've looked at your home and you thought, I don't know, new scatter cushions or a rug or something. Like there's just something must be good. Any minute now, it has to turn. Inside of us, there's this longing for things to be good again. There's this taste of something that we've had, this taste of life, that we just want more of what we've tasted. And we have a taste for something, a taste for life that we will never forget. Because, friends, we were born for Eden. We were made for Eden. We were made for Eden. We were made in the place of life. We were made to have access constantly to life. We were born thirsty. I don't know if you know, but a newborn baby, when it's born, if you put a newborn baby skin to skin on its mother, it will crawl its way to the mother's breast. A newborn baby, it has a stepping reflex. It has this inherent drive to get what it is thirsty for. We are born thirsty. We're born with reflexes inside of us to drive us towards life. The reason being is because we are made to be givers of life. We are like water dispensers, but our life is limited. It is conditional. It's like we've got that bottle of a water dispenser that you get tipped over and gets put in. There's a certain amount of life that we have. We have this reserve tank of water, but it wasn't meant to be that way. We were meant to be one of those uber cool water dispensers that are plumbed to the source, that never run out, because we were created to be in a garden that contained the tree of life. The tree of life, as Kans taught us, that was planted in the middle of the garden, was meant to be a tree that we ate from every day. This wasn't one of those take once and, oh my gosh, awesome, I've got eternal life forevermore. No, this was a tree that we were supposed to eat from every day, life plumbed straight into ourselves, so that the limitation, the conditionalness of our life would never be something that restricted us or limited us, as we were plumbed in to the source of life itself. But on the way to the tree of life was this other tree, which was a false tree of life, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which meant the tree of deciding for ourselves what was good, The tree of getting to decide for ourselves if we should eat the white cooking chocolate along the way to the Lindor. If we should decide for ourselves what is good rather than going to the source of life and to God Himself. Psychologists tell us that the trauma that we have been through as a society in the last few years, and it's magnified here in Durban, we know, the trauma that we have been through, as hard as it is not our major problem. It is the aftermath of the trauma that destroys people. Trauma is like the opening of the water tank. It's the leaving it on. We're pouring out our reserves. The trouble comes at the end of the trauma. We've rallied, we've got through it, we've done what we needed to do, we're here. But we just don't know at what moment we will realize that those reserves have actually run out. I want to ask you right now, if I were to say to you now, COVID has come again, we're back into lockdown, or riots, there's riots tomorrow. Are you ready for it? There's floods coming. Even now, when we hear that rain is coming, like there's something inside of us that says, oh God, please no. Please God, no. Not again. There's something inside of us, and I want to ask you, friends, my concern for you, ladies that I love, is are you working to build up the reserves within you? How low are your reserves, friends? Because I believe that the church has been set up now. We have been set up for failure. We have been set up for this moment where we've been through trauma worldwide. We have been through trauma. We have been through things together. And it is the aftermath as we struggle for life to be good again. Where will we take our thirst? We are born thirsty. We know that our reserves are running low. We know that we need life. Are we going to make it to the source? Or are we going to stop for the trees along the way, the cooking chocolate along the way, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil along the way, that is going to give us what will not sustain our life and what will not plumb us to the source of life that we were meant to be connected with. Turn and answer me, O Lord, we read in Psalm 13. Restore the sparkle to my eyes, or I will die. Without life, without that invigorating Spirit of God, we will die. That psalm goes on, don't let my enemies gloat, saying we have defeated them. Don't let them laugh at my downfall, because if we do not find life, they will get to do that. They will get to see us fail along the way. Those who have said that we wouldn't make it, the enemies that have come to make us fall short, will get to gloat if God, you do not restore the sparkle to our eyes. We need to build up our reserves again, God. We need to be plumbed into life itself. Our hearts remember Eden. We remember that the tree of life and the water that flowed from Eden, the fountains, the springs, we remember those things. And when trials and heartaches come, our longing for Eden just rises to the surface. When everything is going okay, it's okay. When life is going well, we can carry on. We don't even notice. You may have experienced in last decade, you may have thought, I'm okay, life is good, everything's fine. But I will be willing to bet that in the last few years, all of a sudden, there's this longing. There's this, something's got to change. Something's got to give. I need something more. And it's becoming more and more desperate as the trauma has compounded. Friends, denial does not heal trauma. Rallying energy does not heal trauma. To say, all right, we're going to be okay. All that does, when we rally energy, we just go deeper and deeper into our reserves. Natural energy, natural rhythm doesn't go into our reserves, which is why I open up worship saying, I don't want you to feel that you have to manufacture energy in this space and in this day. I don't want you to feel like you have to rally. If you have to rally up energy, where are you getting it from? You're getting it from the reserves, and they're just getting lower and lower. That's why I wanted us to rather just plug into the invigorating life and let that come. Let that bubble, let that flow. It still looks like energy. It still looks like life, but it's coming from a completely different source. We are born thirsty. Where will we take our thirst? The prophet Jeremiah warned us of a very sad and worrying thing. He says this, "My people have committed two sins. They have forsaken me, the spring of living water, and they have dug their own cisterns, broken cisterns that cannot hold water." We stop for the cooking chocolate along the way. We build up, we do our own, get our own ideas of where life can come from. We get our own ideas of what is good and what will sustain us. And if God is helping, great. If going to church is helping me, then that's great. But if not, then I'm out of here. If church is sapping my reserves, I'm out of here. If God is sapping my reserves, I'm out of here. I need life. We are born thirsty. What will we do with that thirst, friends? The battle for Eden is our battle today. The battle for Eden is our battle today, because this is the problem. The rest that we sip from will become the relief that we run to. So we have a dog, a Labrador called Bear, who often makes it into sermon illustrations because he has quite a big personality. And Bear has developed a taste for chlorine water, for pool water. And on an average day, it's okay. We put out fresh water for him before you report me to the SVCA. He has fresh water under a tap in the garden. It's beautiful. It's cool. We wash the bowl. We do all the things. But Bear has just gotten used to going to the pool for his water, and he likes to sip from that when he needs to. The trouble is, when you take Bear for a walk or a run, he comes back, and now he's desperate. And he goes running to the pool, and he gulps chlorine water and ends up making himself ill and vomiting and getting sick, because the rest that we sip from, friends, becomes the relief that we run to when we're desperate. Hear me here. What are you sipping from when you are tired? What are you sipping from when you notice that your reserves are running low? Think about it. I want you to have an actual answer. When you're having a tough day, when you're like, oh, I've just got to get out of here, that longing for things to be good again, you're like, tap out, I'm done. Get rid of these children that are hanging on my ankles, and just like take off these high heel shoes, and I'm just sick of everything. What is it that in your head is going to give you that? What is it for you? Shopping, Netflix, a glass of wine, going to the gym? What is it for you? The rest that you sip from will become the relief that you run to when you are desperate, when the aftermath of trauma is here, when we've been through years and years now of running out of reserves, of using up our tanks. What will you run to in that moment? This is the thing. Our souls want life more than they want God. We are made with a longing. We talk about a God-sized hole, but that's because God is the source. But our souls don't know that. Our souls just know that they are thirsty for life. We are desperate for life, and if it doesn't look like God is meeting that need, we will go wherever we need to go. Wherever your soul thinks it is going to find life, you will go. This is the battleground. This is the spiritual battle that will determine your future. What will you do with your thirst? What will you do with your longing for life to be good again? Are you leaning into escape to rescue you? Are you leaning into escapism? In the evening, more often than not, for me, a few years ago, it was a glass of wine. Can I just have if I can just get to this evening and get in the bath and have a glass of wine? I don't know what it is for you, friends, but I realized that this rest I was sipping from was becoming the relief that I was running to. And I started to get afraid. I started to realize that I was going down a dangerous path. And if I continued to drink chlorine water, I was going to land up among those who didn't make it to the end. I don't want you to be among those who does not make it in these last days. In Luke 21, Jesus specifically addresses this. He's talking about the end times. He's talking to his disciples about the end times, and he says to them, watch out, don't let your hearts be dulled by carousing and drunkenness and by the worries of this life. Don't let that day catch you unaware. And he carries on, it's not up there, but for that day will come upon everyone living on the earth. Friends, it's a warning. The day will come upon everyone living on the earth. Keep alert at all times and pray that you might be strong enough to escape these coming horrors and stand before the Son of Man. Why, of all things, does he mention here drunkenness? Because too often we drink wine or partake in these escapes of alcohol as a white flag of surrender. It's like, I'm done. Just tap me out. Just tap me out. I just can't anymore. It's like hypothermia when you're stuck in the snow and it just comes to slowly put you to sleep, just to dull your heart, lull you to sleep, so that you will lose without even realizing it. The battle will be lost while you are asleep. There's two things he mentions in this verse: drunkenness and the worries of this life. Drunkenness because it fills our water tanks with poison water. And the worries of this life because it's like going through a desert with a tap open. Just as it's pouring out our reserves, as we just worry, and we're just running out of reserves. Those two things, he says, friends, you cannot afford to be lulled to sleep by poison water and to leave your taps open, worrying, stewing over things, instead of being plumbed into the source of life. Friends, I'm telling you now, you will not win this battle by leaving through the back door of escape. Leaving through the back door doesn't mean you're out the battle. It just means you're out with the garbage. It's not going to get you to victory, and it's not going to get you to the end. Survival, your survival, our survival is going to depend on how we manage our reserves in this coming season. The message in Ephesians 4, the Message version of the Bible, says this: this is no weekend war that we'll walk away from and forget about in a couple of hours. I know that doesn't sound great to people who are low on reserves and who are like, hang on, I was about to tap out, and now you're telling me I'm not in a weekend war. It's not very helpful information. This is not a weekend war that we'll walk away from and forget about in a couple of hours. This is for keeps, a life or death fight to the finish against the devil and all his angels. I know it's scary. I know it's not what you want to hear when you're tired. But I also know that there is a source of resilience and a source of being plumbed into the source of life that is going to fill your tank and is going to make you able to last to the end, not have limited life that runs out because it's been poisoned and because the tap is left open, but it's going to get you to the end. And I want you to be there with me because we are going to make it. This is a life or death fight that we are in, friends. It is not going to get easier. I'm sorry. The political situation in this country, the economic situation in this country, it's not going to get easier, but there is a source of resilience available for you, and you get to be a part of it. Just before that verse, in Ephesians 6, it says this: God is strong. It's okay. God is strong. He is not limited. He is not running out of reserves, and he wants you strong. So take everything the Master has set out for you, well-made weapons of the best materials, and put them to good use so that you will be able to stand up to everything the devil throws your way. God is strong, and He has weapons for us. So what are they? How is He going to equip us to make it to the end when we're already running pretty low on reserves? It is through our rest, friends. It is through learning what it means to reconnect with the tree of life, to reconnect with what is available to us. The rest we sip from becomes the relief that we run to. This is the battle for Eden, the battle of our lives. But the good news is that we do not have to wait. We get to have Eden on the way. We get to have Eden on the way. We need to train our thirst towards Jesus. Train our thirst to be able to navigate through the distractions, through the false trees of life to Jesus. God has put eternity in our life. In our hearts, He knows that we long for life, that we long for more, and He has it for us, friends. He has initiated a rescue plan that includes the tree of life. As He came down to Moses in a tree, burning this tree of life that He wanted to bring back to you, may give you access to again, this burning bush, this burning tree. He comes and He meets with Moses and He calls him to a high place, just as that tree of life was in a high place in the garden. He calls him back to that garden temple and He gives him plans, a blueprint for building a temple that was going to be like Eden. And the blueprints that He gives Moses to build the tabernacle and then the temple is full of Eden imagery. Everything about it is made to remind humans that they can have Eden again. They can reconnect with Eden again. The furniture within the temple was representative of the tree of life, representative of the table that would be laid before us. And God, it was not just imagery. It wasn't just an example. It wasn't just a sign of things to come. God came. God came in His glory and filled first the temporary tabernacle and then the temple with His glory presence. We can sometimes look at those scriptures, and because we know that Jesus came and was the temple today in a new way, we think that that was just an image. But it wasn't just an image. The imagery of the flowers and the fruits and the plants and everything that was around the temple was imagery. But the presence of God was real. The presence of God was there so that the Israelites would have access to life. And when Jesus came and said He was the temple, what were His words to us? Eat of me. He came as the new tree of life. Eat of me as the new fountain of life. Drink of me. You can have access every single day to an unlimited supply of life. 1 Corinthians 3 verse 16 says this: do you not know that you yourselves are God's temple and God's Spirit dwells in your midst? Where has Jesus planted His life? The tree of life. He has planted Himself, His life, in you, if you will have Him. In your heart, in your life, He will plant Himself, the tree of life, planted in you, His temple. It goes on in chapter 6 to say, for we are the temple of the living God. Look at that image. Look at that image of just life, just abundance, friends. Even as you long for Eden, as the longing for life rises up within you, God has put the source within you, the tree of life, the fountain of life, both within you in the temple. That is His plan. His plan was not to remain distant from you, separate, that you would have to wait until one day you could have access to life again. One day we could have eternal life. That is not the case. Today, in our hearts, we get to meet with Jesus and have access to the tree of life and the fountain of life. And your longing for relief, friends, train your longing to Jesus. Train your hope to Him. As you go through your day, as you long for rest, as you think, oh, I just need to tap out, I just need relief, shepherd your longing to Jesus. Shepherd your longing to the real tree of life. Even if there are more easy access rest points along the way, even if the pool is wide open with chlorine water, even if there are scatterings of cooking chocolate along the path to the true fountain of life. Free advertising. Ezekiel 47, the prophet says this, in my vision, I saw a stream flowing from the door of the temple, and wherever the river flows, everything will live. That's what we want. We want to live. That is the cry of our hearts. We want life, God. We want life. We want to live. We're desperate. We're thirsty. Flows from the temple to our lives. Our longing for life is the battleground that we will need to fight on in these last days. Our longing for life is the battleground that we will need to fight on in our spiritual lives. Our shepherd of that longing will determine our fate, both in these days and in the ones to come. Revelations chapter 22 ends like this. Then the angel showed me a river with the water of life, clear as crystal, it says, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb, and on each side of the river grew a tree of life for the healing of the nations. It flows from the throne of the Lamb, and the Lamb has chosen to set up his throne in the temples of our hearts. The life is not far from you, friends. It is not in a distant place. It's not somewhere else. It is inside of you.